Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. It's good to be back. So I took December off, had a little bit of a break, and I really appreciated actually having some time to focus on reading, to catch up on other people's booktube videos, just chill out and not think about filming or editing for a little bit. I had a lot going on with work and other stuff, so I just needed a bit of time, but actually I really missed putting videos out there, so I'm really glad to be back. We're now in 2020, it's January, it's slightly scary. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of my plans for 2020, particularly in terms of reading, and a little bit about what I'm hoping to do with this channel as the year goes on. I'm going to be talking about some of my plans. I realised that I set some goals a year ago and I did a little bit of an update on them in the summer, and I will be filming a 2019 in review video in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, before too long. I just haven't had a chance to put all the stats together for that yet. So the goals that I set for 2019 will be reviewed in that video. Some of these are very similar plans to what I had last year. Some of them will give away how well I did with some of my plans from last year. So I may make some reference to that, but to find out actually how I got on with all my plans for last year, you're gonna want to wait for that video. My first plan, so you may remember last year I was meant to not be buying books for the first 6 months of the year, and that didn't happen. And then I carried on buying lots of books. So this year I'm going to try really hard to not buy very many books. What I realised last year was that I have a tendency to buy books when I'm stressed, and last year was quite stressful. So I ended up buying a lot of books. And part of the plan is that there's a distinct possibility that I might be moving house later this year, sort of towards the end of summer, beginning of autumn. It's by no means definite, but I realised, and I mentioned this in a video I made about my TBR back in the summer, early autumn sometime, I can't remember exactly when I made it, but I'll link to that below, that actually I have a ridiculous number of books and I love having lots of books, but I'm starting a process of decluttering at the moment, and not just my books, lots of other things as well, so that if I do need to move in the summer, it's gonna be a bit easier because I won't be carting around a load of stuff. So part of that is trying to work through books I've already got, and so not buying extra books that I don't need. So I'm gonna be calling it a low buy. I'm not planning on not buying any books because, as I say, it is a way that I release stress, is to buy myself a couple of books. But to try and help it not get out of hand, I'm going to try to only buy books that I need to carry on with series that I'm currently reading. So for example, with the Poirot books, I'm working my way through that series. I've read the first two, I have the next two that I need, but then I don't have the fifth book. So once I've read the fourth book, I'll then be able to buy the fifth book, or when I'm close to reading the fourth book, I'll be able to buy the fifth book. That's kind of the intention. So any series that I'm working my way through and I need to buy in the next book, those books I'm allowed to buy. I'm going to try and buy them secondhand where I can to save a bit of money as well, but that's my intention for that. And then the only other books that I'm going to allow myself to buy are ones for book club. I am going to be joining a theology book club because that's the kind of person I am. So I have the first book for that, for the January book. I started it yesterday, and so I've got a couple of weeks to read that, and then I'll be needing to buy the books for that. And I'm also hoping to carry on taking part in the Ninja Book Club hosted by Bex from Ninja Book Box. Now, up until December, she had a subscription service, so you got the book sent to you automatically every month for the book club. Due to the cost of running that, she's now not doing that anymore, which means I'm not going to be buying the book necessarily every month. I'm going to wait and see what the book is and then decide if I want to read it. So the book for January didn't particularly interest me, so I'm not going to be picking that one up, but I'm going to see each month what book is picked up, and that's going to help me with one of my challenges later if I carry on taking part in that, but not necessarily every month, because as I say, I want to try and cut down on what books I'm buying. And I was finding that some of those books, some of the book club books last year I really loved, but there were a couple that I really didn't like, and so I don't want to be spending lots of money buying new books to then not like them. So I'm going to be a bit more picky about which ones I pick up for that. Anyway, all that to say, I'm not going to be buying as many books, hopefully, this year. You'll have to wait for my 2019 review to find out exactly how many books I bought in a year that I wasn't planning to buy any books. I'm not going to be doing pre-orders. I think I do have 2 pre-orders at the moment, which I'm going to keep. One is for an author tuber called Bethany Artazada. It's her fairy tale retelling series. I've read the first one and I'm going to be reading the second one soon, and the third one comes out sometime in the summer. So I've got that on pre-order because she's an independent author and it's good to support her in that way. And then the other one is a booktuber, Yumi Yamamoto, I think that's her name, I hope I've got that right, who has a graphic novel coming out in March or April. I'll link to her announcement video for that because the artwork looks beautiful, and again, I want to support her. She's got a great channel as well, so go check her out. So other than that, I'm going to try not to put any pre-orders in place either because I don't actually ever read them, and I do read some of them, but just not straight away, so I might as well wait and let them come down in price a bit and then get them, unless it's an author I really care about. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble. So back to the point. So I'm not going to be buying as many books, and my main goal for the year is to try and get my TBR down to a slightly more manageable number. So I'm now 95% sure that every book I own is on my every book I own that I haven't read is on my Goodreads TBR, which is why the number is higher than I would have liked it to be at the end of this year. But now I know, I'm fairly confident. I had a number of books that I hadn't put on there that I thought I had, and so I've gone through and I've double checked, and now I'm pretty sure every book I own is on my own TBR. So I currently have 566 books on my unread shelf, my to be read shelf on Goodreads, and on my bookshelves obviously, and I also have 27 books on my book death row. So that is a lot. At the rate I read books, it would take me nearly 6 years to get through all of those books if I only read books that I owned. So that is, yeah, that's a lot of books. A lot of them are authors that I like or series that I like. There are reasons, and I pick a lot of books up secondhand. I don't feel bad about having that many books, I just feel bad that it's going to take me so long to read them. So my goal is to try and get that down a lot lower number. I've put down here below 500 across both lists. So if I read at the rate that I'm reading and I don't borrow too many books from the library, that should be doable. I'm also planning to regularly go through and unhaul them. I'm still going to be carrying on with the challenge that I set myself back in the autumn, that video that I mentioned where I'm trying to read the first chapter or first 20 pages or so of books that I'm in two minds about whether I want to read them. I've been working through from the lowest rated books on Goodreads, and I have managed to weed a few out that way. So I'm going to carry on doing that, putting some of those books on book death row or unhauling them if I decide I don't want to read them, and just trying to work through some of those books. I have set a Goodreads goal. I haven't got this on my list, but my Goodreads goal, I'm now decided I'm going to set it every year at 52 books. That's a book a week. I generally read more than that, but it's nice to have something to work to, but it takes pressure off that I want to try and read some of the longer books on my TBR as well this year and try and get through some of them. So if I don't set the number too high, then that will encourage me to read longer books, not just more books, and I want to get my page count higher rather than necessarily the number of books higher. So for book death row, say there's currently 27 on there. I've been quite successfully reading one a month for the last 6 months. I'm going to be filming an update for that today as well, so you can see how I've been getting on with that. I'm now going to be upping that to 2 a month. I tried to do it on a rolling thing where I'd finish one and then pick the next one, but I found that a bit too confusing. So now I'm going to be, at the start of each month, I'm going to be picking 2 book death row books, and if I haven't read them by the end of the month, then I'm unhauling them. And that's going to try and help me get through some of that TBR. I'm going to carry on with my Read Around the World challenge. I didn't read as many books for that as I would have liked to last year, so I'm going to be trying to focus on that a little bit more again this year, and I'm going to be trying to read one per month. Again, this is trying to do this without buying any books, but I do have a number of books from authors from around the world that I'm not prioritising, so if I prioritise them as well, it'll help me get through some of that TBR. I also got through finally a book written in French that I've been reading for about 18 months, and while it was hard work because it was non-fiction, it was sort of a collection of essays, I realised that I miss reading in French and I want to practice that more. So I have a little collection of novels in French, a couple of non-fiction in there as well. I'm going to aim to read complete 3 books in French in the year 2020. If I can do a bit more then that's great, but actually because I'm a bit out of practice with my French. It takes me a little bit longer to get through them to understand them. So I'm just going to challenge myself to try and read a little bit more in French and keep that language skill going. 2 other year-long challenges that are going on that I'm going to be taking part in. One of those is the Indie Challenge that I took part in last year. I'm going to be taking part in that again this year, hosted by Ninja Book Box. They've put together a new bingo card, which I'm going to put up here so you can see it. I've set myself up a little spreadsheet so I can track the books that meet each challenge. Last year, about a third of the books I read were from independent publishers or independent authors, so I'm going to aim for that again. I'm going to aim to hit every square with a unique book at least once. I managed that last year, so I'm really keen to try and do that again. And yeah, aim for about a third of my books. So last year that worked out at just under 3 per month being indie books. I'm going to try and aim for the same. Again, this is without buying books, too many books, but if I do take part in the Ninja Book Club, then that will help with that. And then finally, for reading challenges, the Quiet Pond blog are hosting a year-long TBR challenge called the Start on Your Shelf-a-thon. It actually started in the middle of December, so I've already read some books for that, and the idea is that for every book you read you put a star on a star map. More arty people than myself are trying to make them into constellations. I'm just using it as a way to track books that I read that are from my TBR. The only rule is that it has to be a book you own and it has to have been on your TBR before the start of the challenge, which I think was the 13th of December. I have a lot of books that fit that category, so I'm going to try and do that. I have come up with my own star system. I've got myself this pack of star stickers to help me with this, and I have already started to fill out my star map here. So you can see I've got 3 different colours there. The bronze ones are for standalone books, the silver ones are books that carry on a series, and the gold ones are books that complete a series for me. So I don't think I'll fill up this whole board, but it's going to help me try and prioritise reading books that I own over buying new books or borrowing books from the library. And that's my intention. So I'd say I'm aiming for at least 3/4 of all the books I read to be from my owned TBR, and to try and help me work on getting the number of books I own down, and yeah, to clear some of my backlist of books. So that's all my reading challenges. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I'm hoping to do with this channel. I'm not going to set myself a subscriber goal because I realised I got to a point last year where my subscriber count had got stuck for a while in the 180th, and it was there for a really long time, and for a couple of weeks it was really bothering me, and I was checking it every day. I was like, why isn't it moving? And then I decided actually I'm not going to worry about that anymore. I'm just going to focus on making videos that I enjoy making, and hopefully the subscribers will come and people will come and enjoy watching it. And actually I get a pretty good watch ratio for the number of subscribers I have, so I'm just going to work on making the content that I want to make and hoping that people come along for the ride. And I should actually say at this point, just before New Year's I hit 200 subscribers, so thank you so much for everyone that subscribed. I do realise with starting to upload videos again that sometimes can mean subscribers fall away. It's to do with YouTube algorithms and how they take off inactive accounts and that sort of thing, and actually some of the new people might decide they don't like my content. I hope you do, I hope you want to stay around. So I'm prepared for that it might drop just below the 200 again, but I'm hopefully now I'm going to start getting a bit of momentum. I'm going to be working on the quality of my videos, so I'm going to be practicing my editing a bit more and trying to make that a little bit slicker, a little bit less jumpy, because I realise that I'm not brilliant at editing, so I want to practice and try and get better at that. You may notice as well, you may not, I have lights now. I have just one set up at the moment, but it's to try and give me a slightly better image quality. My house, particularly in winter, doesn't have a lot of natural light in it, so it's to try and help improve the image quality of the videos. And hopefully I'm going to have my other filming location, my book room, in a state where I can film in it, and that actually is the darkest room in the house, so that will really be helpful then. So that's my other sort of plan to try and make my videos a little bit more professional looking, is to have better lighting. I'm in a process of decluttering my house at the moment, which means that my book room where I want to do my filming isn't in a fit state to film. Hopefully by the end of this week it will be in a state where I can actually film in there, and that's going to be the plan. I want to get back to uploading twice a week. I was doing that for sort of the first 6 months of the year, and then I cut it down a little bit because I was going to try and do some more writing. Didn't get around to doing more writing. Still want to be doing more writing, but I realised that I missed having as much engagement from the videos because I wasn't putting them out as much, so I'm going to try and upload twice a week. I can't promise it will be every week, but that is going to be my aim. And to help with that, I'm going to try and make my videos a little bit shorter, a little bit slicker, so that they don't take as long to edit, basically. So that's my plan. I also want to work on my thumbnails, because I've had this style of thumbnails. If you're familiar with my channel, you'll know it's a picture of whatever I'm talking about on my reading chair. I'm one of the few booktubers that doesn't actually have their face in their thumbnails, and I don't know if that is one of the things that is affecting my engagement, affecting people wanting to watch my videos because they want to know what I look like or something. I don't know. So from now on, I'm going to be trying to actually have my face in my thumbnails and try and sort of match my thumbnails a bit closer in style to what is common among booktubers. At the moment I'm using a very basic photo editing software that comes on the Mac, so I'm going to see if I can find something that's a little bit more advanced that I can do that. If you have any recommendations for that, please let me know, because it's not something that I have as much experience in, so I would like to get a little bit better at that. And then finally, there's been a lot of talk recently on Book Twitter about making videos more accessible to people with different kinds of disabilities, and when I first started BookTube and had a little bit more time, I was captioning all my videos and then I stopped, and I did regret it at the time, and so I want to start captioning my videos again, and I want to go back and add captions to some of my older videos. I don't know how long it will take me to do that. I have made a lot of videos already, but I mean, to start with, I'm going to focus on when I'm uploading new videos, I'm going to try and put captions on them just to make them that little bit more accessible to the hard of hearing members of the community, and that's my intention, so hopefully that will be something that you'll all benefit from. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about today. Sorry it's been a little bit rambly. I am getting back into practice of making videos. It's been a month and I'd say a little bit rusty. Yeah, trying to get back into the swing of things. So let me know down in the comments what your reading plans are for 2020. Are you taking part in any year-long challenges or any shorter term challenges? Do you have a massive TBR to make me feel slightly less bad about how big mine is, maybe? I see all these people with like, oh, my TBR's at 40 or my TBR's at 100. I'm like, I wish I could get mine down to that level, and then I would feel less guilty about all these books that I own that just sit there staring at me. Anyway, so let me know how big your TBR is. What are some ways that you get through your TBR? Yeah, so have a chat to me down in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't already. As I say, it means the world to me that people want to hear what I have to say, and it just helps me to know that you're engaging with my channel if you subscribe. You can also follow me on my social media, so I'm on Twitter and I'm on Goodreads. That information is always going to be listed in the description box below. That's it for today, so thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!